All right, so welcome back. So now we're going to do a couple other things um, to get our character ready for the next steps. And the next steps, we are going to set him up to uh, be ready to texture. And so to do that, we are going to do UV mapping to get some files ready that we could then take into uh, any type of graphic editing software like Photoshop, Illustrator, things like that. Basically, what it's going to do is it's going to take our 3D character, flatten them out into a flat image that we could then take into one of those programs and paint. We would then be able to bring it back in and wrap it around our model, and it'll look like they are painted. For this exercise, um, we are going to set all the UV maps up, but we're not actually going to paint in this video. We'll save that one for one of the last videos. So first, if you don't already have your scene open, go to File, Open Scene, or sorry, let's do this. Go to File, Set Project, so it's easier to find your scene. Choose your blocky character, hit Set, then go to File, Open Scene, grab Blocky 2. I'm going to hit Save because I just had it open. It's fine. And I'm going to do a file now called and do Save Scene As. We're going to call it Blocky 3. So now we've got our new scene ready to go, and we don't have to worry about messing up the old one. I'm going to go to General up here for my workspace. It doesn't need me to reset, so everything is basic. But if I were to go to, say, press spacebar, now I go, oh, because I haven't done anything to the settings. But if I were to choose a different one, choose General again, now all of a sudden it'll let me reset the current workspace. So again, I just like doing that to make sure everybody's on the same page with their layout. The next things we can do over here on our reference images, we don't really need them anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the visibility. And then we're going to start with our character's head. So I'm going to go ahead and select my character's head. I'm going to go to UV editor. Now you won't see this in most cases if you're on any of the other options. So you need to make sure you're on modeling, go to UV editor. And when you do that, it's going to have our box flattened out. Now it is flattened out based off of these white edges, which are called cuts. That is how the program defaults to cutting a cube. So what I'm going to do is right click, go to face mode, drag left mouse click and drag a box around all those faces, grab my move tool, and I'm going to move it off to the side. Mainly because there's going to be a lot of body parts just stacked up here and we don't want them to override. Then we want to make sure that our geometries are good and not stretched. Because if they're stretched, then if you paint your texture, it's going to stretch it when it puts it on there. So I'm going to make sure I've got it selected, go to Unfold, hit Unfold, then I'm going to hit Straighten UVs. Then I'm going to go ahead and go back to Object Mode, select his arm. Now this one we did some work, so you can see the cuts. But I'm going to go to Face Mode, select them, drag it off to the side. Then I'm going to hit Unfold. You'll see what it does. Then Straighten. And it's going to clean it up a little bit. Going to go to the next one. Go to Object Mode. Go to Face. Let's go ahead and drag. Since it's on this side, I'll put it over here. I will try when we make the map, I'll try to arrange them based off of the way our character is laid out. Hit Unfold, Straighten. And this one, because of the way we did it, we duplicated it, but now it's on the opposite side. Actually, no, we didn't mirror it, so we're okay. We should be okay. So next we'll go to object mode, grab his body, go to face mode. And you can see when we hit the unfold, it distorts the box a little bit because it's trying to make it in proportion to what we did to the actual design. Go to object mode again, choose the leg, face mode, drag it off to the side, unfold, straighten. Finally, our last one, object mode, face, drag it down, unfold, straighten. So now we've got all of them taken care of. So now I'm going to go to object mode here, and I'm just going to shift select all of his body. And you'll see it highlights all of them. Now, when you're making a UV map, you want to get all of your pieces into this little panel right here. So what I'm going to do is go to face mode. It selected all of them because I had them selected. I'm just going to scale down. Then I'm going to zoom in. You do the same thing. You can move and Alt and middle mouse button down will allow you to move or pan again. Mouse wheel lets you zoom in and out. And so now I'm going to take faces at a time with my move tool. And I like to arrange them the way his body is. So this is his left leg. This is his right leg. His body. This just helps me when I start painting the texture to arrange him. Then I'm going to squeeze his arm in here. We'll see if we can fit everything. May have to rearrange it a little bit. Other arm. And then face. So I'll pull it down. So we've got them all squeezed in there. We could go closer if we want. I do like having a little space so it's easier to select all of my individual textures if I need to. But if we can get them closer, we could try to scale them up a little more to have a little more area to work with. All right, so now I'll zoom out, grab them all again, grab my scale tool, and scale them up a hair if I can, and move them. All right, so now I've got a UV map of all of his body parts. Next, what I'll do, go to Image, UV Snapshot. And in here, because I've set my project, it's going to default. It's going to call it Out UV in the Images folder. I'm going to change my image format to a PNG. And I'm going to go ahead and set the detail up to 8K. It makes it a bigger file, but it gives us better quality for our texture. And then I'm going to hit Apply and Close. Now I'm going to go ahead and open the file in Photoshop to show you what it looks like. So first I'm going to go ahead and do a File, Save Scene As, override blocky-3. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to my folder real quick and go into blocky character, images, and I've got my out.png. So I'm going to right click, go to open with Photoshop. And I'm just doing this to show you how you will attach the texture. And then later on, we will go ahead and do some edits. So when I go into Photoshop, if I go to my layers palette, I've got one layer and it is my map. It's hard to see it right now, but I'm going to go ahead and call that map. Then I'm going to create a blank layer, drag it to the bottom, and I'm going to call that base. And for right now, I'm just going to grab my paint bucket and I'll use a dark gray color and I'll just paint that base color. I'll lock it so I don't mess it up. And you'll see my map is starting to show. But if I go to the layers settings, I can go and try to find one that stands out nicely. I like this lighter color. Um, that way I can see it. And then I'm going to lock that layer. So for now, I'm going to do a file, save as, and I'm going to leave it as a Photoshop document in my images folder and hit save. Then I'll go back over to Maya. I'm going to close my UV editor for now. And oh, it's giving me some kind of error, but I'll deal with that later. I'm going to go to object mode and I'm going to select all of his body parts again. I'm using the outliner to do big selections because it's easier to just grab them and make sure I actually get them. I'm going to right click on my character and go to assign new material. And I'm going to choose a Lambert. So I'm going to use a Lambert because it's a matte finish. There's other different types you can use, but a matte finish will work for what we're doing. I'm going to choose Lambert, go to Lambert 2 up here, which is the one it just created. And under color, I'm going to click this little checker box. When I do that, it brings up creating a render node, and I'm going to tell it to create a file. And under the folder for image name, I'm going to click on that. And now it went to my source images. I'm just going to go up, go to my images folder, and choose my outuv.psd. The reason I'm choosing my PSD file is later on, when I update my PSD file, once I save it, it should automatically update in Maya. So nothing happened. But if I go up here to this textured option and click it, you'll see it put my texture on there. So now I can see where his shoes will be, his shoulders will be, his waist is. So now I've got a pretty good idea of what he looks like. He's just not painted. And we're not going to paint, like I said, for a little while. We'll save that for a little later, but at least we've got a texture created. So now the next thing I want to do real quick is I'm going to go ahead and select all of them. And actually, I'll just select one for right now. He's got some different pieces here. Um, while I've got him selected, this Lambert 2, I'm going to rename it to be character texture. It's good to keep everything organized so that you know what everything is. And then I'm going to go ahead and select everything. And under my poly modeling option, right here in the center, there is this one that says delete by type. I'm going to click that. And it just basically deletes a lot of the history that we did for our build so that we can't undo those things now, all the modeling that we did or stretching that we did, but it at least clears this up and makes it a lot more organized for you. All right, so that's a good ending for this video. We got a map made, we got our character ready, and so we'll move on to the next video. Good luck. Oh yeah, don't forget to do another save scene as blocky 3 and hit save, just so that we have it ready to go for the next video. All right.